So, what is Dungeons & Dragons? Dungeons & Dragons is a role-playing game that was created in, published in 1974. It was created a little before that, but 1974. Most namely by Gary Gygax and Dave Arneson. And it was created because they were tired of just seeing fantasy adventures on TV and having to watch them or just read them. They want to be able to actually play through them and be a part of them and live through them. So they ended up coming together with some of their friends and created this game, not with the intention to like sell it or franchise it into what it has become now or anything like that. They weren't setting out to make the greatest role-playing game ever. It just so happens that they did. So that's kind of what happened. Basically, it has surged in and out of popularity quite a few times. And quite recently, it has gotten as popular as ever. And I mean, the first surge of popularity was around late 70s, early 80s, and then it did again later on in the 90s, mid-90s I'd say. And then now, about 10 years, ever since about 10 years ago, it has resurged into popularity and gotten more popular than it has ever been before. And it's crazy because now you run into people that play Dungeons & Dragons just left and right. Now it seems like you can't toss a pebble in the middle of a crowd and not hit somebody that plays Dungeons & Dragons. You just can't. One of those things that's very common now. Used to, before, it wasn't quite as common, and there was a lot more fear around the fact that a lot of people thought, oh, if you played that here, you do satanic worship, you worship the devil, you're Satanist, you summon demons and all that. No, not really. Some people might have a vulnerable mind that can be encouraged to partake in those things, the other stuff they do in the game, but that doesn't cause that. That is not at all a thing. And while there are still some people that still fear that today, it's not quite as many. But some people do, and they will keep their kids from playing it simply because of that. They just completely goes against at least what they believe, which unfortunately I have to tell them what they believe is wrong in this case. It doesn't do that. It's quite safe actually. There's nothing dangerous about it. Unless you consider expanding your imagination and creative thinking abilities and critical thinking skills dangerous, then maybe, but otherwise no. So yeah, in essence, it is a role-playing game where you collaborate with friends and you have to play through whatever story the Dungeon Master is unfolding before you, and you get to role-play with any characters he has in there, and partake in combat, and engage in conversation with all kinds of people in it, and figure out ways to role-play your way through whatever scenario you're involved in. Like, say it's smuggling a king through a city, or you're having to climb a mountain to go take out a dragon. You never know. All kinds of crazy things that can happen, and you'll have stories that range from completely absurd and hilarious to things of legend that happen. So it's completely boundless, and it's made great by the fact that the rules are so negotiable. It's something that you could bend pretty much as freely as you want to, and it won't. The rules are more like guidelines, to put it in better words. They're more like guidelines more so than rules, and even in all the books it will tell you that these are not the rules you necessarily have to play by. These are just guidelines. Feel free to bend it as you will. Which one of the things that makes it so great is the fact that it has so much flexibility to be turned into whatever you want. So it's whatever your Dungeon Master makes it to be, and whatever you make it to be. And that is part of why it is so great and has gotten so big now. So that's pretty much what Dungeons & Dragons is all about. Collaborating with friends, role-playing through the adventures, and just having a good time making the world your own. So yeah. Alright, so I'm here with Brendan Block, a fellow player and occasionally Dungeon Master in Dungeons & Dragons. So how long have you been playing D&D?
Well, let's see, since I started in high school, it should be about 5 years.
Alright. And what got you into D&D, like to the point where you were no longer like, that's weird kids?
Hearing over-the-top stories about what you guys are doing in game.
Alright, and so I know you've been both player and DM, so what's it like player versus Dungeon Master? Like which...
So as a player, it's a lot easier to go, I want to do this random thing, and it's probably going to work out in my favor, versus being a Dungeon Master and having to take all those crazy requests, and then realize you have to figure out a way to make them work. or put your friend down nicely without breaking their heart, because you can't do that because it's stupid and it just never would work ever.
So which do you generally prefer, being the player or dungeon master?
Depends on what mood I'm in and what character ideas I have at the moment. So if I don't have anything going on, I'd rather be the DM. But if I have something I really, really want to do, then it's like full player all the way.
And what does it take to be a player versus what it takes to be a dungeon master? Like, is there any different skill set you might want for either, or is it just you need the same thing?
So I'd say a lot of what you would need for one, you need for the other. Definitely you need to be creative and have a really, really strong imagination. But player versus DM, as a player you should have some patience, but as a DM you really do have to. And as a DM you really have to be quick on your feet. You have to be able to come up with something within the span of not even a whole second. And you have to be able to manage people. So if you have like 5 players, you need to be able to manage 5 players and maybe like 3 NPCs as well as a monster all at the same time. And that's all you taking in information from them and trying to balance that with information you have as well while outputting information all at the same time.
Alright, and so what is it about Dungeons & Dragons that makes it so fun to you? Like, what's the draw for it for you?
Draw for it for me would be being able to do whatever I feel like and having to watch somebody deal with it. Let's see. For me personally, it's the idea of being able to take these characters that I've had in my head for who knows how long and finally being able to put them on paper and do something with them and being able to live a life with somebody who I know I'd never be able to do in real life.
That's a good answer. Okay, and is there any recommendations or advice that you would give new players and or maybe dungeon masters that are wanting to get into a game?
So for new players, number 1, be patient and realize that this is a game that takes time, and it takes time to prepare, and it takes time to react to what it feels, whatever you may say. So in that case, just take your ideas and don't hold them, let them out, ask your DM first, and then go all in, balls to the wall, make them deal with it. But as a DM, the same thing applies. It takes time and effort to prepare a session, and it takes patience and creativity to deal with players. You need to be able to understand the difference between what's in a rule book versus what fits the situation better and what fits the people you're playing with. And that applies to players too. Be aware of who you're playing with and how your actions will apply to them.
And lastly, what or do you rather have a favorite class and maybe race combo that you like to play? Like, what's your favorite race and what's your favorite class and why?
Let's see, favorite race, human, because of all those bonuses. That, or I can be variant human and get a feat right off the bat. When it comes to favorite class, it's a 3-way tie between Bard, Rogue, and Sorcerer. Bard because, look man, I can take control of the whole battlefield, there's nothing you can do to stop me. Rogue because I can't be killed, and Sorcerer because, screw it, unlimited power.
Alright, well thank you for being a part of this, I appreciate your time. Okay, well I am here with Justin Thompson, who is a player and dungeon master in Dungeons & Dragons. He most often does is a DM, dungeon master. And we're going to talk to him a bit today about what he thinks is so great about Dungeons & Dragons. So, Justin, how long have you been playing D&D?
I've been playing Dungeons & Dragons for 5 years now.
And what got you into D&D?
I originally was introduced via one of my best friends at the time, who invited me to join him and a few mutual friends of ours. I decided to give it a shot, and it's been one of my favorite hobbies ever since.
And what's it like being a dungeon master?
Being a DM can be stressful yet rewarding. It can be frustrating when you have a path planned out for the party to go and they decide to go against it, and you have to come up with something else on the spot. It can also be overwhelming at first as you realize you have to make the transition from playing one character to suddenly playing the entire universe simultaneously. Once you get the hang of it and realize what you have to do and how to do it, it becomes much easier.
What about D&D makes it so fun for you?
It's fun in the sense that you're engaging in a story of your own personal character you've created and are involved with your friends and their characters as well. You have the option of writing a paper, a book, or an entire franchise of your own unique stories and interactions that you can reflect upon later and share with others who also have an interest in D&D. You can also be whatever you want to be and go through the most in-depth customization in any other game to the most minute specifics.
And what does it take to be a dungeon master?
To be a dungeon master, you first have to have people that are not only willing to play a game, but also your game. People generally aren't eager to play with inexperienced storytellers, but once given that chance, then the person begins to tell their story better and better until you realize years have gone by and you've been lost in the pages of the book that you've written together.
And are there any recommendations or advice that you would give new players and or DMs wanting to get into the game?
Take everything one step at a time and treat your first encounter of any kind as a learning experience. Don't try to do everything at once and just familiarize yourself with the game's different aspects, and soon you'll do stuff that was once complex to you that's now second nature.
Well, thank you for sitting down with me and talking about this today. Appreciate you doing this.